it, Andy Campbell, it's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero, a superhero. Breakthrough. It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City.
Guys, and welcome to episode number 20 of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on ACEcast Nation. Christmas is almost here. The fat man is getting ready to empty his sack in houses around the world tonight. I am your host, Si, and I will be joined by ex-Premier League Championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell. And as usual, we will start with the any other business, which I got a feeling is going to be a bit rowdy today. Then we'll have our three main featured championship games from the weekend, and we'll talk about all the other games. We'll have our 2 for 2, where we select 2 players who've had a nightmare or a blinder. Andy will answer your questions, no matter what they are. And then we will finish off with the soon-to-be award-winning 10-second segment that is the fake Jordy bingo lingo, where Andy will teach me something about his northern culture as we prepare for me to go to Middlesbrough in 2020.
Yep.
We'll record the show in Middlesbrough, sat next to each other.
Dangerous.
That's the plan.
Good on that.
I gotta prepare myself to get to Middlesbrough, fit in, get to know the culture, the slang. It's got to be done. So this is day number 9 of the 10 days of ACEcast. We're in the home straight. As a thank you for all your support in our first year as a channel and a show, we decided to drop 10 brand new full-length podcast shows in 10 days. Every day has been a new show. It's been challenging, but it's been a lot of fun, and we've picked up some new eyes and ears, some new subscribers. I think we're currently on 599 on YouTube, so really want that one to push us over to 600, and I think we're 10 off 7,500 on Facebook. So spread the word. Let's get those follows, those subscribes, get us up to a nice round number. In the 10 days of ACEcast so far, we've had ex-Manchester United defender Derek Brazil, which was a cracking show. He shared some awesome stories about Fergie, being a part of the Fergie fledglings, also some dodgy managers at Cardiff City where he did not hold back, particularly when discussing Phil Neal, which was kind of cool. It was really interesting to get a look back in the day. We've also had the Danny Batten MMA show. We've had Bellator fighter Tom Mearns, UFC's next big thing, Jack Tank Shaw, former BBC journalist Anna Breeze, and a whole lot more, loads of other shows. You can watch all our shows in video format, youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation, and audio at all the usual podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. Too many to list, but you can, whatever your favorite is, you can listen or watch. The best way to continue to help us grow is to interact with the posts on the shows, leave comments on the YouTube videos, because that helps us go higher up the search engine and stuff like that for people who are going to come across us perhaps by accident or whatnot. Click the bell and you'll be notified when you subscribe. You click the bell, and then every time we upload a video or make a post, you'll be notified. And if you're feeling really generous, leave us a review at Apple Podcasts, because it's Christmas and it helps us out a lot. Okay, joining me to talk about all the previous subjects I mentioned and a whole lot more, provide his expert insight and analysis, the one and only, the goal collector, David Jones, his favourite son, the speed merchant, the pie-eating, goal-celebrating, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, Andy. How are you going, my friend?
I'm all right, mate, yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so I'm switching it up a bit, doing the plugs before the introduction. Got to make
I like it.
Got to make them wait for you. See, got to make them wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Main event.
Main event when we sent the hat on.
Yeah, it's Christmas. Got to celebrate.
Yeah,
so, as my wife just told me, she said you shouldn't wear the hat because you look like a 1990s pothead. And I was like, look like someone from Dazed and Confused. But there we go. It's
Compliments.
Christmas, and I didn't
Yeah.
have any other hats. This isn't even my hat. This is my 10-year-old son's reindeer. Blah, blah. So there we go. So how are you, mate? You had a good week?
I'm good, yeah. Football's been interesting, up and down. I'm going to talk about it, obviously, all in length, but part of football's getting to me though, and obviously we're gonna talk about that before we start the championship. But there's some not very nice people in this world at the minute, and it's ruining society, killing football, and I don't know. And everyone's got an opinion about it, and that's what I find. The good thing about social media is you can read 10 different people talking about stuff, and you get a different opinion out of them all, which is nice, but it gets frustrating at the same time. And I don't know, it's starting to be a bit frustrating. I'll use that because I'll save my rant. But
Yeah, I got a feeling it might be a bit ranty, the first part of the show anyway. But, like we say, we're fair to everyone. We don't shy away from anything. We'll talk about whatever,
No.
whatever's in the news. It is what it is. The championship, mate, is getting weirder and weirder. Like I was saying to my mate yesterday, there's no point in trying to do an ACCA in the championship because you just cannot predict who's going to do what.
Yeah,
And,
totally agree.
Like a month ago, Barnsley looked like they were going, and all of a sudden they've got their act together and they look.
I thought they were gone.
Quiet.
I thought they were gone. I thought they were goners. But the scoring goal side, that's one thing. You know what I mean? One thing that this championship does and it likes is teams that score goals and go for games and they get the rewards. Because I don't think they've changed all season. They've just struggled in scoring goals and letting them in. You know what I mean? Where certain teams in the league have struggled at both ends, you know what I mean? And they're struggling now still, you know what I mean? So obviously we're going to cover all that as well. And it's pleasing to see some teams getting rewards. You know what I mean? We spoke about the international break killing certain teams, but we always said this Christmas period was gonna show us where teams deserve to be, and I think it's showing its true colours really.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like a couple of weeks ago, we said on the show, Fulham look like they're struggling, not quite sure what's going on, and then all of a sudden they pick up a couple of results. They're up to third. They never really dropped down the league, and they look not back, perhaps where they were at the start of the season, but they certainly look strong again. They had a cracking result on the weekend. Leeds, it looked like they were cruising towards promotion, and they've gone. They seem to be getting their bad form. Funny enough, as what happened to Swansea was they looked like they were cruising. They played Cardiff, drew, or they beat Cardiff. Swansea did, didn't they? And then after that, they went to pieces. And Leeds, they went to pieces during the Cardiff game, and then they just seems to have affected them. I got to say, mentally, they just don't seem the same.
I would like to be. I'd like to be in some of the camps to see what's going on or what their thoughts with what's going on. You know what I mean? Because you hear managers and you see bits from the outside. And one game in particular, which we are going to focus on, there was a bit of a fracas, I'll say, during the game at half time, and I just I'll use the word discipline because a couple of teams seem as though they're losing it big time. You know what I mean? And I'm going to have a little bit. Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you can't afford to do it because players get sent off, clubs lose games, managers lose jobs. You know what I mean? So there's no hiding place, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, I agree. So today's show brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Away Day Apparel is a group of casually obsessed football fans looking to bring you something different to the wardrobes of like-minded people. With football, music, and weekend partying high on the agenda, they aim to bring you some exclusive products. They're edgy, controversial, but most importantly, current. From t-shirts, polos, shorts to hoodies, jackets, and accessories. Stick with them, and they aim to bring you some terrace wear that will turn heads and provide that cutting-edge look that we all crave. Now, we've bigged up the Away Day Apparel. I've said there's some awesome stuff in the pipeline for them, and I know that I can't say anything too detailed, but I know there's some really, really exciting stuff coming in 2020. Things are starting to pick up, shall we say? And I'm really excited because great lad who owns it, and just good company, mate.
Yeah.
But I haven't got my away day apparel T-shirt on today, so I've got my
No,
Stone Roses, got my Ian Brown one on.
I didn't want to go 2 weeks on the belt, so I thought
I know. It makes you look like you've been wearing the same T-shirt all week then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So yeah, it's away day apparel. Check them out. awaydayapparel.co.uk.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, there's some really nice T-shirts and stuff on there, and hats and stuff already. But like I say,
same as anything size. Well, they need the support. They need people looking at stuff and following. You know what I mean? I know. I spoke to Al. You know what I mean? He asked me to share his stuff. It's the least I could do. You know, and I know people have accepted my invitation to follow, and you know what I mean. It's nice to see because you know what I mean. It's a company which needs people to look at what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it's going to be really special once that kicks off. I think it's really going to pick up, and I think it's going to spread quickly. And if you look on the website, some of the names that he's had, like posing for adverts and getting involved in it, some massive names. Like Daniel James, yourself, and can you imagine like getting Andy Campbell to on your website, mate? It's unbelievable.
Wearing one of his T-shirts, you know what I mean?
It's like crazy, mate. Yeah. But like Daniel James, and there's all sorts of people. But can't speak highly enough of them. Right then, let's get into the football. Let's start with a negative, mate. Come on.
There's only one place to start, and that's the Tottenham against Chelsea incident. Well, it's not just an incident. It's not just the game. Sorry, it's irrelevant, isn't it? The game's irrelevant because it's happening in society. Never mind football. It's racism again, and you know what I mean. Everyone beats the drum about Russia are racist, Bulgarian FA is racist, Spanish FA is racist, Italian newspapers are racist. Forget that. English football supporters are racist, and that's a fact. So you work on facts. You know what I mean?
Not all of them, though, is it?
Not all of them, no. But there's the minority, and they've let us all down. You know what I mean? Because it's had an impact. And then you've got people beating the drum, like Gary Neville beats the drum after the game, and rightly so. You know what I mean? He probably went around it in a different way than he probably should have done. He should have just stick to the football and stick to, and probably kept politics out of it. But that's Gary. Gary's quite opinionated and is big on his politics and the way that he thinks and the way that he believes. And to be shot down by a Sky presenter, I thought was pretty rude and pretty disgusting. And he came out to social media, Dave Jones, and apologised for stopping, which was a huge thing to talk about. And I don't blame him because I believe that someone's telling him in his earpiece to say what he said. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So I really, really feel sorry for him. But at the same time, he had an opportunity to say, I agree with you, my personal opinion. However, Sky believe that Sky work closely with the Premier League. They work closely with everybody else. Sky can't afford to annoy and go against the grain of the FA, the Premier League, the EFL. They can't afford to do it. So,
see, my view on it is, I think the Sky people were specifically trying to refer to the politics side of it, because they were basically saying, we don't want to take sides within politics. It was just the way that they did it. Like Dave Jones was obviously, he just jumped in because he was being told, make sure you say that, it's Sky's, that's your opinion, not Sky's, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he could have worded it better, and I think he probably could have done it at maybe a different point, or said specifically in relation to the politics. Sky wanted, but at the end of the day, like the words he used, I think was something to the equivalent of, we just want to have a balanced debate. Well, I'm sorry, when it comes to racist abuse, there is no two sides to it. Like what that guy did is racist, and it's no place.
It's not a debate, though, is it? You know what I mean? It's not a debate. It's happened. You know what I mean? We're not debating about is it right or is it wrong? You know what I mean? What is there to debate about? You know what I mean? It's happening. For me, it's the debate should be about what are we going to do to prevent it happening again, or what are we going to do to eradicate it, or what are we going to do to punish. You know what I mean? Because you're going to punish someone and ban them from football for life. Is that enough? I don't think it is. You say, you know what I mean? I don't think it is, and that's me from my personal opinion. I would never go to a game thinking that I'm going to do it. However my game which I'm watching panned out. If they're getting beat 7, 8, 9, 10-0, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? It's like when you see some idiots going out on a night out with a knife. You know what I mean? You're going out intentionally to hurt someone. These people are intentionally going out to a football game to racially abuse people. They've got black players in their team, Tottenham. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got players from other nationalities in their team. So you know what I mean? If you're a Tottenham player as well, you should feel just as let down as Chelsea's players would, because you're one of their own apparently. So yes,
spot on,
upsetting.
mate. And do you know, going back just briefly to the Gary Neville thing, I thought Gary Neville, the way he spoke was really good. He was so articulate, and he was very careful. He didn't kind of go all in like, "Oh, Boris Johnson is racist," blah blah blah. He didn't say that. He said both sides of the political spectrum have got people displaying these sorts of behaviour, which then empowers the public and people who have got those views to say those views in public. He didn't, he wasn't like beating the drum of I don't know if he's left wing or he's right wing or he's somewhere in the middle. He wasn't beating like his own political views, like you see some people do on TV and stuff. They kind of force their own views on you. He wasn't doing that. He was saying these politicians from both sides have displayed racist behaviour or race. They've contributed to this feeling within the whole country of racism. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So why aren't Sky on board with that? They should be on board with that. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it was interesting. So before that I don't know if you've seen all of the analysis after. So it wasn't just that part of the bit. What was interesting for me, it was the part where Ashley Cole and Gary Neville were talking about kick racism out of football and anti-racism campaign. And Gary, listen, I've been there, done it. You know what I mean? That you get asked to wear a t-shirt for a photo, and then you take it off and you go and train. So people look at that and think that you wear it all your life. You know what I mean? And you back it all your life. You don't agree with it, and you want to back it, but you wear it for 5-6 minutes while you get a photo shoot and while you do something for a company who's beating this drum, and it's all publicity. It's all for one photo. It's all for a mini little video, and it's not enough. It's just showing that it's not. It's not stopping it. It's not helping it. How many years are we going back now? This is, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. We're going back over the way that we used to be. You know what I mean? We might as well bring hooliganism back again. Might as well bring. But what's next? It's ridiculous.
Well, if you think we've done 20 of these shows, 21 if you include the previews at the start of the season, okay? And I say we've talked about racism occurrence, some sort of thing happening at least 4 to 5 times, maybe.
Yeah, probably 4 times too many. Yeah,
that's a quarter of the shows. That we've had to talk about some sort of racism, whether it's in the international break or whether it's in the Premier League or in another country. Like, come on, it's 2020 in a week.
Yeah. But we spoke about this though. We spoke about when it happened in Bulgaria. It made it okay for some people to do it, and that's what it seems like, that they see it happening, so we can do it. You know what I mean? We'll try that. We'll give it a go. You know what I mean? We won't go as serious as the Bulgarians did it. We'll just do it. One person will do it instead of 10 people. It just doesn't matter if it's one person, 10 people, 10,000 people. It's still racism. It doesn't matter how many people do it.
Yeah.
You know, if one person did it and he still heard it in the crowd, or he saw it in the crowd, it's going to affect him. And it did affect him. You could see it affecting him during the game.
He took it really bad, didn't he?
But what happens if he goes in that crowd and goes and attacks that fan who did it?
Yeah.
Who gets in trouble?
Cantona did it. Cantona said that the guy had said something racist or something. I know Cantona's, he's the one who got the ban, and he's the one who got in trouble with the police. And
that's my point. You know what I mean? It's got to be more than just banning from football, because racism is not just in football. It happens down the street. So is this man banned from walking down the street? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he banned from going to shops?
Well, there was a couple of things which Sky said, which I found interesting. Like, not Sky, but Souness, I think it was, said the people around these people in the stadium, they got to out them. They have to. There can't be this perception of, you don't want to grass someone up. You got to clean your own clubs up and police your own clubs. And I would use Cardiff City as an example for that. The way Cardiff City got rid of their hooligan issue was they policed themselves more than the police policed them.
Yeah.
And here's where it is. But and I'm sure, Millwall and other clubs have done exactly the same.
Mm.
So you've got to have that aspect of it where people have got to say, no, that's not okay. And alert a steward or a policeman or the club or whatever. And yeah, it might cause some friction within, the stadium or your own fans. But you've got to do it. You've got to let people know that, no, come on, that's not okay. That's not acceptable. The other thing they said about, one thing which interested me, sorry, just to veer off slightly, was Gary Neville seemed genuinely quite affected by the fact that when Ashley Cole had been racially abused with England, or they played in the same game. I don't know if it was England or if he was playing against them. But he had said that at the time, he had the attitude of, come on, let's just get on with the football. Let's get on with it. Let's prove it. Let's do it that way, sort of thing. Because he didn't get it.
Yeah.
That, he was younger, and then now he's older. He really seemed affected by the fact that he hadn't been more kind of proactive in his response to it.
Didn't do something about it. Yeah, I remember that's what he said. Yeah, and that's growing up those sides as well. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's the education of players. You know what I mean? But that's my concern with the players is we need somebody to walk off. We need somebody to
that's what I was going to say. Got to do it.
Who's going to be the one who does it? And as long as they know, or they have they're backed and they're not going to get punished by it, then do you know what I mean? Because
the sad thing is, mate, is that it's the bigger the name who walks off, the better it will be for in terms of getting rid of the problem, which is sad because it should be that no one should have to walk off. Yeah. But like, I just think it's got to be a point where I think that these players need to start thinking, no, we're going to walk off. Sod the 3 warning thing. If you see it and you're sure, you hear it, and you're absolutely sure that that's what was done or said, just walk off.
Yeah, you're going to go, yeah. It's got to happen for me, son. It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
I feel that it's getting to the point where if that doesn't happen, one of these players, particularly the younger players, they're going to lash out, mate. And that's going to be a huge problem. I'd hate to see like a young black player lose his career because he's got to take a corner, he's been racially abused, and he's clocked someone, and the club sack him because you can't take it into your own hands, blah, blah, blah. There's things in place with FIFA and FA and I just think I would hate for someone to lose their livelihood or get in trouble with the police because they've reacted. And what it comes down to is the FA and the Premier League and the FIFA and UEFA and their lack of balls to deal with it properly.
It's just like it's a fan's lack of education. It's an authority's lack of just taking responsibility and doing something about it. So lack of balls and lack of just wanting to get it right and put it right. And someone's going to take the brunt of it. So you know what I mean. That's the teams who have to walk off, and they're gonna get all the accolades for doing it. They're probably going to get all of the stick for doing it at the same time. But just it needs to happen. It needs to happen. You know what I mean.
And I think once it happens once in a big game, I think that might be the kind of turning point.
Yeah.
Because then other teams will follow suit. And once you've got a weekend of like 3 or 4 teams walking off because they've been racially abused or whatever around the world or around Europe, it'll soon, FIFA and the FA and stuff, they'll soon sort it out because they won't want their money to be affected in terms of
totally agree.
And stuff like that.
Totally agree.
Just final thing I'll say on it is one thing which did kind of piqued my interest a bit was that I think it was Ashley Cole, it might have been Gary Neville or Souness. They said that they feel that the Premier League is hiding behind the FA or the other way around, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of that. But what was your interpretation of that be? Because you obviously know more about like the PFA and the FA and stuff like that than what I do.
I think they all work really closely with each other. So I think because they're not working together at the minute and no one's come up with a statement where they've all backed it up, I think they're all a little bit unsure of what to say and who to say it to and against. Because if they're not all beating the same drum side, then there's going to cause friction between somebody. And if they say the wrong thing, and I think that's where Sky came out of it on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, just looking like a bad guy. That you know what I mean? They look like they back racist or they are racist because of they stopped it and they didn't back the way that, you know what I mean. It's just that you hit the nail on it. It was worded wrongly, you know what I mean. And I think that's that's the main thing for me. The PFA haven't come out and said anything. The Premier League haven't come out and said anything. The FA, the AFL, every body within British football has to beat the same drum, or world football. Everyone's got to do the same thing. Italian football, the Gazzetta Italia, put monkeys, you know what I mean, on newspapers, you know what I mean? The whole thing's got to, you know what I mean? That Liverpool fans don't like the Sun because of what happened, and that's rightly so. Do you know what? It's disgusting what happened to all those families. But the Gazzetta Italia Sport are racist, and no footballer in the world should buy that paper because they back racists. So it's a similar thing, and I just, you know what I mean? And I'm so frustrated with, you know what I mean, with people not doing anything about it. I don't know what the point is. I don't know what the point is anymore of who's going to have the balls to stick up for, I don't know, like I'd say, and I'll call them the little people, you know what I mean? Because with football being so big at the minute, the business, the football clubs are the ones doing it to be punished, you know what I mean? Because would a fan do it? Would a fan continue to do it if your team gets deducted points? I don't think you would. You know what I mean? If it happened once, you wouldn't do it again. You know what I mean? Or give a goal to the other team. You win in 1-0. All of a sudden, you're drawing 1-0 because one of your fans is being racist. I guarantee you, the 500 people around that one person would do something about it straight away because he's just cost your team a goal against a massive rival.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Souness does not like the PFA, does he? Jeez.
No, I don't know if there's history there. Souness is he's quite the footballing bodies. He's quite anti about them all. To be fair, I don't think he's had a lot of support when he's been Southampton manager and as a player. You know what I mean? So I think he realises that he's been on his own a little bit when these agencies have been there to support and help out.
Indeed. So moving on to our next subject in the any other business, we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the Robin Hood of managers.
I'll leave the start
from the rich.
I'll leave the start up to you, Si, because I'll have my opinion at the end. I can only comment really on current. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't really see him as much as you lot did. But you know what I mean? I had my own opinion when he was Cardiff manager. Fish out of water a little bit, but you know what I mean? But there's nothing changes. Let's just start there. But I'll leave the first bit over you.
So I've been calling him to you. I've been texting you, calling him the Robin Hood of managers because he steals from the rich and gives to the poor or the smaller clubs. Because he, you know, Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool, taking points from all of them. Looked impressive doing it.
Yeah.
Drop points to Wolves, Sheffield United, West Ham,
Villa, Watford,
Bournemouth, Watford. There's others as well. Like basically all the teams they, you know, historically should be expected to beat. It seems like if they play teams who are going to come at them, your Liverpools, your Man Cities, your so on, they can do all right against them because they can play that counter-attacking football. They can play Pogba, Martial, Rashford, Daniel James up front, and they destroy teams in seconds from one end of the pitch to the other. Great. You need more than that in the Premier League and in the top level. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Cardiff City. When he came into Cardiff, I was thrilled, really excited by it. I was a massive fan growing up of him. And I just thought, wow, that's a massive signing for Cardiff. Cannot wait. Didn't go well. He was so tactically inept, like just naive. And when he went to United, I said to my mate, who's like United fan, season ticket holder, I said, "There's no way he will succeed. He hasn't got the tactical knowledge and nous to have a big job like that. He just hasn't. You know, some players don't make good coaches."
Yeah.
I do think that he's shown glimpses, but when you're the manager of Manchester United, glimpses is not enough. Maybe in 10 years' time, he'll be perfect for the Man United job. Yeah. At this moment, 2019, 2020, he's not ready. He's not good enough. He's not helped by the fact that the board don't seem to want to, you know, spend money and actually replace the players that they've sold. That, you know, that does chop the legs away from him a little bit, and he's done a good job with the young players. But for me, he's got to go, mate. I just think United can't cruise now. They've got to get in the top 4 this year.
You look at Man United though, Si. You look at the past. Even you look at Mourinho. You look at Fergie. You know what I mean? These managers, proper managers, can handle big players. You know what I mean? That he hasn't got Pogba playing. Hasn't got him playing at all. He came on the other day, just strolled around looking like he couldn't be bothered. You know what I mean? The sign of a good manager for me is getting your big players playing, because those players are there. You know what I mean? Pogba's not going anywhere if that football club decides not going to sell him. You know what I mean? So the manager, his job is to get the best out of a footballer whilst he's there. You know what I mean? And just sitting down with him and telling him this is how it is, not by being Mr. Nice Guy. You know what I mean? You're telling me Fergie sat down and just said to Beckham and to all the other players, Jaap Stams and Ruud van Nistelrooy and all these players, that it's okay, fellas. You know what I mean? That everything will be all right. You know what I mean? It was his way, and rightly so. And I just think sometimes, you know what I mean, he just comes across like he's too nice. He needs to put a rocket up the backside of some of the players, scare them into playing for that football club again. You know what I mean? Because it's a massive football club, a huge football club, and there's just something massively wrong. You know what I mean? You say there, they'll go and beat Man City, they go and beat Spurs. You know what I mean? But they go and get beat comfortably. Some of the mistakes, what are happening? You know what I mean? That all right, you know what I mean? Yeah, players don't need to know that they've made a mistake, but they've got to come out and you've got to tell. You can't. Supporters aren't stupid. Yeah. You've just got to tell it how it is. That it doesn't matter if you're going to upset somebody's feelings and he's a Spanish international goalkeeper or he's a French World Cup winner. I couldn't give a damn. You know what I mean? These players have got to handle the pressure and handle the negatives. When they get the praise, they get the rewards, they get the money. You know what I mean? So they've got to handle the negatives that come with it.
Well, what's remarkable to me is they signed Pogba for 100 million or whatever. They've never given him a run of games in his best position.
Yeah.
For me, his most successful periods of being a player in Italy or for France is when he's either played number 10 or on the left of a 3, where he hasn't got to do the defensive work. They've never given him a run of games. They've always tried to play him as this like holding midfielder as part of a 2. Now, I've never played at a professional level. I've never been a manager. But I could tell you that Paul Pogba is not going to do that job as good as other players who are not as good as him.
Doesn't enjoy doing it.
No,
so why would he?
Suit his abilities.
Why would he do it if he doesn't enjoy it?
But
you know what I mean?
He should do his best. Obviously, of course, he should. He gets paid enough. He should always give 120%. He doesn't. He's not the only one. They've got 5 or 6 players who are not good enough to play for Manchester United. You know, your Ashley Youngs, your Lingards. They're just not good enough, mate.
No, totally agree.
And until they sort that out, they haven't replaced. So you've got Lukaku in the last couple of years. Lukaku, Fellaini. Who else has left? A few others have left. And yeah, they might not be the world-class players that United need, but they were first-team players playing 30 games a year.
Yeah.
They haven't replaced them.
Yeah, totally agree.
Then you're relying on Rashford and Martial, who are probably better coming from wide than playing up front. You've got Daniel James, who's a youngster they've just signed, who's doing amazing.
Oh, considering he shouldn't have been playing, so apparently he shouldn't have been playing this season.
No, he's supposed to ease himself in, wasn't he?
Every single minute of every single game at the minute. The expectation, it shouldn't be happening. He's going to burn himself out by February, you know what I mean? So he's probably going to have a quiet end of the season, which they can't afford to have.
My worry from a Welsh point of view is he's going to get burnt out because they're playing him so much and they were expecting so much from him. But if I was looking at Mason Greenwood, I think he's English, is he? Because he plays for the England under 21. He's one of the most natural finishers I've seen in a very long time, since the likes of your Fowlers, your Shearers, your Michael Owens. Incredible finisher. And I just think they're going to end up ruining him because they got no strikers, so they have to starting him. And if he goes to a bad run, he's going to get abused. He's going to get shit, and he's 18, like just turned 18.
You know, you can't afford it to happen. Can't afford it to happen. It'd be interesting. Well, the thing is, this is what I don't get about this transfer window, though, Si. You know what I mean? Because you've got a transfer window. Are they gonna back him and give him money? Because if they do, you might as well keep him in charge. Because if you're going to keep him in charge, you're going to give him loads of money, or it'll be a telltale sign. If you don't sign any players, then I can't see him being in a job for that much longer. I'll be honest, because I think the proof's in the pudding. Yeah, because why would you?
Have they seen enough positives over the
to
last
back
season to think.
to back him
Yeah.
with enough money when you've got Pochettino hanging in the wings, who apparently can't join a Premier League club till the summer apparently.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean.
If you're Ed Woodward, do you go and speak to Pochettino and say, right, Solskjaer wants to sign this Norwegian lad, Alfie Ingler Hardland's son, and he wants to sign, I don't know, Jordan Sancho. And you say to Pochettino's team, could he work with those players? And if he says no, then do you put the block on those moves? Or do you let Solskjaer have whatever he wants? And then if Pochettino says, no, I don't want him in the summer, it's a risk, isn't it? You've got to tear it all up again.
Yeah, you start again. You know what I mean? So you're wasting thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on wages and transfer fees, and you know what I mean. Man United are a big club, but they're not that big.
No, I think one thing I would say is that they could kind of, if you look at what Solskjaer's trying to do with young players, is similar to what Pochettino would probably do in terms of like young British talent or like young up and coming talent from Europe and stuff. So I mean, they have got that in their favour that they could probably keep Solskjaer and there wouldn't be too much of a difference in personnel in terms of new signings. Like it's not like he might sign one player and Pochettino would want him out the door in the summer.
I totally agree with that. I just think it's a big risk to take. But.
Yeah, of course. So the question is, mate, to finish off with him, will he be gone just after Christmas? Will he be gone in January, or will he be gone in the summer? Or will he carry on forever?
Summer, and I think Pochettino will take over in the summer when he's allowed to be back in the Premier League.
Well, he's got to pay. He loses his 12 million, doesn't he, if he signs, which is a lot of money. Yeah,
you're not going to give that up. Nobody's that stupid.
No. And then briefly, just the last bit of any other business. I sent you a video earlier of a German keeper from, I think it was Eintracht Frankfurt. Basically, the keeper comes running out, and the striker's name was Gasinovic. He's got a nasty, nasty gash on his upper body after the keeper Alexander Newball, the keeper's name is. I'll stick a link in the video or at the bottom in the description. Brutal. It reminds me of what did we say? Schumacher German
against
keeper in the 70s.
Battiston against France. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was one of the worst I've seen.
Neck height, wasn't it? He came right, and he was like 20 yards outside of his box, and he's run out. He's karate kicked, going for the ball supposedly, and he's caught the striker right in the neck. Striker didn't see it coming. Could have killed him.
Awful. Yeah, awful.
And that's the sort of thing you want to see a retrospective ban for.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
because the referee's seen it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just awful. Awful.
Okay, let's get on to the Championship. Some more positive stuff. So like I said, impossible to pick an actor in the Championship, mate, at the end.
Yeah, I think that's just in football in general. It's happening in the Premier League as well sometimes. You know what I mean? You can't seem to do that, but Championship's even scarier.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? So, guys, every Saturday night we put the polls up. Either myself or Andy put them up. You can vote for the top 3 featured games of each show. Obviously, just vote, retweet it, because obviously, we want a variation of games each week. We don't want to do the same sort of teams all the time. We just want to do the best games of the week, but we wanted to leave it in your hands of who we cover as the top sort of the 3 main featured games, which we look at in a bit more detail. So the first game, which was voted for, I'm sure Andy will be very, very happy to talk about, is Borough 2, Stoke City 1.
Oh, great results, in the end, but it was possibly one of the worst games of football, especially in the first half I've come across. It was just an absolute ball fest. Stoke City were excellent. They started really strong. They looked solid. They looked a good side. They had good shape about them. You know what I mean? I was surprised with the managers, with Michael O'Neill's team selection. He didn't play Sam Vokes. He played Lee Gregory up front, and I think I played into Middlesbrough's hands a little bit the longer the game went on. But I thought Tom Ince was excellent. James McLean, excellent. I thought Allen in midfield was superb. He just dominated the game. Possession-wise, Middlesbrough couldn't get anywhere near them. Young kids just they were all over the place, just chasing shadows for the full game. And then the half-time whistle couldn't come quick enough. You know what I mean? Jack Butland made a really good save just on stroke of half-time to keep Stoke in it, but Middlesbrough didn't really threaten or anything. And then second half, Stoke just carried on again. It was just relentless. They kept the ball, they created chances, and then all of a sudden, James McLean pulls off a fantastic shot. Pears makes a great save, and then Stoke go ahead. And then I was sat next to a couple of lads, and I was saying, I'm really worried now. This has got the end of him. This is, you know what I mean. And then as we're having a conversation and chatting, Middlesbrough go up the other end and score straight away, an equaliser. And you know what I mean. I think that's the problem Stoke are having this season. You know what I mean. They go ahead, and they've gone ahead quite a lot, and they get pinned back straight away or with a vengeance. And then once that equaliser went in, you could just see the Stoke players. You know what I mean. They just didn't have a plan B or a plan C. They struggled to get out their own half. Middlesbrough brought a couple of subs on, freshened things up. Rudy Kasted came up front, and Middlesbrough were planting long balls into the box, and he did a really good job. It's probably the best I've seen him play in about 3 or 4 seasons. And then Lewis Wing scored an absolute belter to win it, and it's just something Middlesbrough needed. But then Middlesbrough caused their own problems again towards the end side, that they sit back and invite pressure, and Sam Vokes come on, and then they started to get a little bit of joy in the box. And you know what I mean? I'm thinking, Middlesbrough, you've just done great in the second half by attacking and going to try and go for the jugular, get goals, and all of a sudden they're sitting back and thinking they're good enough to sit back. And you know what I mean? Luckily enough, they hung on. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? It wasn't a game for the purists. And Middlesbrough climbed up the table. And I thought it was going to be a great weekend. I looked at the fixtures, saw that Barnsley were playing away to Millwall, and other teams were playing and against tough sides. Huddersfield played Nottingham Forest, and thought, yeah, what a perfect weekend. All these teams are going to lose, and there you God, you know what I mean. They're lucky they won, because if they did lose, they would have been in deep trouble. But then on the other hand, look at Stoke. Stoke are in dire trouble at the minute, and I don't. You know what I mean. We said that the tide's turned. They're going to get out of it. They're too good to go down. What I saw on Friday night side was a group of players who, on paper, are very good. When they want to play, are very good. But when things get a little bit tasty and people are putting their foot in, and you've got to fight, you've got to dig in, they didn't have any heart, didn't have any desire, and they didn't look like they wanted to get a result on Friday night. And that for them, that was a game there for the taking. If they really wanted to beat Middlesbrough on Friday night, they would. But Middlesbrough had more heart, more desire, and they won the game. And you know what I mean. And goes a long way, Si. Heart and desire.
Yeah, big time. So I watched this game, most of it, and I've watched Stoke a couple of times recently, like where I've seen the majority of the game, and I think their game management is horrendous. They look
terrific.
Like a team when they go into the lead, they look like they panic, and they don't know they don't know where to go forward, they don't know where to go back, they don't know where to keep the ball, they don't know where to go long. It's very, very like. The way I think of it is like, you know, if you're like winning in a giant killer, you're the smaller team, you're winning 1-0, and there's like 2 minutes to go in a cup tie, and you're just belting the ball anyway. They look like that, like frenetic, panicky. They don't look comfortable on the ball. Whereas before they scored, they looked excellent. Sam Klukas was excellent.
No, it's different class going forward side. But the thing is also, they kept the ball in the first half, and it was like. Even 1-0, but then they scored the goal. They went 1-0 up, and then they decided to change the style of football. So I don't know where that come from. If that was a tactic, if that was come from the sideline, but you know what I mean. It didn't work, and you know what I mean. That game was there for the taking. If they had held on for another 5, 6, 7 more minutes just after the goal, I believe they'd have got the second goal. You know what I mean. I looked at the bench. The bench is strong. The team was strong, but paper and teams on paper side means absolutely nothing, and that showed me on Friday night, that you know what I mean, having a bit of heart, bit of desire, having a few young kids in the team, you know what I mean. It's not all doom and gloom. And Middlesbrough, let me be honest, you know what I mean. They're not going to get in the playoffs. They're not going to pull up any trees this season. If they finish where they are now, I'd be well happy with what's going on. So, but then if they stay there, I mean, Stoke City or one of the big hitters is going to get relegated this year, and you know what I mean, because other teams are in and around them are picking up points.
Yeah, Stoke are in trouble, and I think any of those players who think they're not could be in for a shock. And I think that might be part of the problem, is some of those players believe that they're too good for the Championship.
But we said this side that do they really care though? Because what will happen if they get relegated? They'll just shoot off.
They'll go on the cheap with a massive signing on fee because they'll be cheap.
You know what I mean? And potentially get paid up by your club. So you know what I mean. I've got so much admiration for Michael O'Neill to come into that football club and take over. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know what I mean. It's a big January window for him because he's got to bring in players. He's got to bring in these players who've got to gel straight away. They've got to get it right straight away because, you know what I mean, the so-called bigger and better players what they've got in the team is just not working for them. And it's, you know what I mean, it's 20 plus games now, Si, you know, so it's not, you know what I mean, it's not
much left.
Do you know what I mean? We're not
halfway through, basically, aren't we?
Yeah, we're not. You
Time,
know what I mean? We've given them chance after chance to turn it round. You know what I mean? They've had ample opportunities. They played. And to be fair, there were 2 games unbeaten, 2 clean sheets. You know what I mean? The way the game happened in the first half, I thought it was nailed on. When they scored, they were going to go on and win the game. But when they let a goal in, they looked free for all over the place.
Surely those like instructions and tactics when they score, it's not the first time they've done it. You know, where they've scored and then they've started giving the ball away and looked unsure. That's not the first time Friday. So that's got to come from somewhere. That's got to come from the coaches or surely. Like it can't be like a player's thing, can it? Because the manager would see it and say no.
Yeah. But then they've had 2 different managers say over the course of the time that we've been saying this. You know what I mean? So is it a player thing? Is it a belief? Is it players deciding that they're choosing to do this on the pitch? You know what I mean? Because I saw a different Michael O'Neill in the first half than he did in the second half. You know what I mean? Because second half, the last 10, 15 minutes, he was so frustrated with how poor his passing was. You know what I mean? How the wrong choices his players were making. You know what I mean? And he can only pick the team. You know what I mean? So maybe he hasn't got the players in there who he believes in, who he thinks are good enough for that football club, division. You know what I mean? So it'd be interesting because if he's obviously gone there with the intention of bringing players in because he's a good manager. You know what I mean? He's given up a really good job to go to that football club. So that surely the owners and the chairman are going to back him with bringing in players. I'm sure they will. He wouldn't have gone there with a pretense of with no money. You know, there's no way in the world. No way. I can't believe it.
Do you think it could be that some of those players don't trust each other? When push comes to shove, which makes them kind of second guess passes or second guess decisions. Because I think
so. I think so. I'm not buying this confidence thing. I don't buy confidence because, you know what I mean. There's, you know what I mean. Confidence is such a difficult thing. You know what I mean. I look at Jack Butland. Jack Butland started the season. He was making mistake after mistake. There might be a confidence issue, but the manager's backed him. You know what I mean. Made a great save in the first half. You know what I mean? James McLean, every time he got the ball, he's took the fullback on. He's full of confidence. Every time Tom Ince got the ball, he's pulling the strings. He's doing a trick. Every time Joe Allen got on the ball, he's keeping the ball. He wants the ball. That's not a player. Klukas looks for the ball, drives in the box. That's not a confidence thing. A confidence thing for me is not wanting the ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hiding.
So these players still want the ball, so they're not lacking confidence. So forget that. You know what I mean? They're lacking quality. They're lacking they've lacked a bit of direction over the course of the season, and it's massively proving, and it's cost them because, you know, I mean, look, they had a really awful start of the season. You know what I mean? But and they're playing catch up even like up now halfway through the season. But you know what I mean? The games are running out every Saturday, every Tuesday over Christmas. 2 games, New Year. You know what I mean? FA Cup. It's irrelevant for teams like Stoke City because. Do you want a good FA Cup run? No, you don't. You want to win your league games, freshen your players up, you know what I mean? They're not going to win the FA Cup, you know what I mean? But
if I was Stoke, I'd be playing my youth players in the cup, all of them. Just because if you might come across someone who's, you know, like a striker who's in hot form, a young striker or a young winger who's in form, and you can bring them into the first team. Whereas if you get an injury to Joe Allen or whoever, that could be really problematic going into the run-in.
Massive. Man, he can't afford to look. He was a class act, will say. You know what I mean? He's too good for the Championship. He was on the ball. I'd love to see the stats on how many touches he had because he was getting the ball off the fullbacks, getting the ball off the centre halves, getting the ball off the goalkeeper. Little passes, long passes, balls into the channel, set pieces, corners, free kicks. You know what I mean? He was just a class act.
Yeah, and he always wants the ball.
Class act.
One thing I just wanted to ask you before we move on to the next game was Rudy Gusted. What's the score there? Because for Cardiff, he was excellent, and I was very disappointed to see him go. And his career seems to have stalled.
Yeah, he's had a couple of problems at Middlesbrough with their supporters, and he had a big fallout last season in the FA Cup when they played Newport that he was disrespectful to the fans, so he fell out with the fans. He didn't play. He's been injured. He's been out of form. You know what I mean? I thought he did his job when he came on Friday night. I thought he was excellent. To be fair, he did exactly what the manager wanted him and needed him to do at the time. But that team at the minute is crying out for him to play, lead the line, help the young boys out. You know what I mean? Because
I feel like him and Ashley Fletcher together could be a good.
Well, he was sub actually. He was, you know what I mean. Guested was sub, and he played 17-year-old Stephen Walker. You know what I mean? And I felt really sorry for him, Stephen. He looked lethargic. He looked out of his depth. You know what I mean? And this isn't his fault. This is having to play because Britta Sambolonga's not there. But then you've got somebody with the experience of Gusted should be starting. Yeah. And then you've got a young lad to come on when Rudy can't run anymore. You know what I mean? Then you're fresh legs. You know, I felt so sorry for him. But, you know, hopefully the manager can get a little bit more out of him and go from there, really.
Absolutely. Good result, though, for Borough.
Yeah, great. Yeah, puts them up the table. And, you know what I mean? That's the most important thing is winning games. And, yeah, see how long it lasts. Because they've got...
It drags Stoke down, mate, as well.
Well, it does. Well, Middlesbrough play Huddersfield on Boxing Day, and then play West Brom away and Preston away. So 3 tough games coming up. So they needed that.
God, if they could pick up some points against Huddersfield and Preston, and
they'll be out of it. They'll be out of it now. But then the championship. I'm fully expecting them to go to Huddersfield on Thursday and winning that comfortably. But you know what I mean. After what happened on Saturday, you know what I mean. They're going in the game full of confidence as well. So you know what I mean. It'll be a good game.
They're certainly full of piss and vinegar, as the old saying goes. Yeah, so the next game was Huddersfield 2, Forest 1, and it was niggly, shall we say.
What on earth has happened to Forest, though, Si? What on earth? You know what I mean?
Pieces,
they've fallen. It's ever since Cardiff went down to City Ground and beaten them. You know what I mean? Ever since they've gone down there, they've lost game after game. They drew against Middlesbrough at home. You know what I mean? They're just an absolute, just all over the place. They haven't got a clue what's going on. They're not creating the chances of what they used to. Sammy Amiobi not scoring goals. Lewis Grabban struggling to create chances. They had a couple of late chances against Huddersfield, but the niggly was the word, Si. Niggly was the word indeed. I thought they lost the discipline. And I'm going to start with an incident where the ball boy got hurt.
That's disgusting, that was.
Yeah, where the ball boy got hurt. And we're on about things what happen in football side, and things like this don't get mentioned enough because you know what I mean. The poor ball boy who was helping the football club out. I think it was Hogg who was trying to keep the ball in from the touchline, and Silva pushed him over the advertising board. The advertising board obviously toppled onto the young ball boy, so everyone potentially could have got really hurt. And you know what I mean. There was obviously an incident at half time between Hudson and Andy Dawson and the two managers. It spilled back on the pitch in the second half. It overspilled again at the end of full time, and it just shows me that Nottingham Forest have lost the discipline. You know what I mean. They're obviously not happy with what's going on. But it played in the Huddersfield hand side. So I thought the Huddersfield started excellent. They had a couple of set pieces which they were unlucky not to score from, and then they scored the first one from Schindler from a set piece, and they just fully deserved it. Fully deserved the win, and they carried on going forward again, and then they got the second goal from another set piece, and just showed Forest just really struggled, and from set pieces all afternoon, long throw-ins, corners, free kicks in and around the box. They just really struggled, and it was only probably until about 7 or 8 minutes towards the end that they really started to come into the game and missed a couple of easy chances, headers from a corner themselves, but take nothing away from Huddersfield, fully deserved the win. And Forest deserved to come away from the Huddersfield Stadium with absolutely zero from the game.
Yeah, I think Forest. They look frustrated. They look like their form suggests they're struggling to create and get things going the way they were at the start of the season. But you've got to start again at every game. You know, you've got to build, play the way you've been playing, and you've got to try and do the right things. And they just looked, from the very first minute, they looked like frustrated and a bit pissed off, and it showed. And I thought they were very lucky to keep 11 men on the pitch.
No, very. Well, when was the last time we spoke about Joel Ollie, Sammy Amiobi, Lewis Grabban? You know what I mean? These players who
Well,
You know
Joe
what I
Lawley,
mean?
we tell him, talking about him every week, weren't we, at the start of the season?
I'm not saying they're underachieving, but are they getting enough of the ball? You know what I mean? Joe Lawley needs the ball. Sammy Amiobi needs the ball. Lewis Grabban needs the ball in good areas, or he might as well not be playing.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't happy the other week when Lewis Grabban was sub. You know what I mean? Because he needs to be playing to score these goals. But if you're not going to give him the service that he needs, then you might as well be sat on the bench.
Yeah, I thought he was. I may be wrong because I've only seen the highlights of this game. To me, he looked like he was sulking a little bit. Now, Forest fans, tell me if I'm wrong there, because like I say, I saw probably 8 minutes of it rather than, the 90 or the extended highlights that Forest fans would have seen. He looked to me as if he was having a bit of a sulk. And, he plays frustrated, that can happen. But they need him, more than ever. They're having a bad run. They need the Lolly and they need, Grabham and what's the boy in the middle? Ayala, is it? No, not Ayala.
Silva.
Yeah, they need those players to get going. Huddersfield, excellent, great. I thought they showed really good mental fortitude, there's a phrase for you, to control them, because they were getting kicked about a bit. And they've obviously felt disrespected on and off the pitch. They felt the Forest were being a bit naughty.
Manager came out with that at the end, and I think, but it shows what a good job the Cowley brothers did at half time to calm the players down and to get them going again, because they could have easily come out second half and made it a war and had a bit of retribution with what happened at half time and the end of the first half. But they came out second half, carried it on the way they were playing, did the right thing, and got the result. And that's what they need. They need the results. You know what I mean? Forest need the results for different reasons. Huddersfield can't afford to get relegated. And obviously, I said to play Middlesbrough on Thursday afternoon, and they'll take 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 down the Riverside on Thursday and Boxing Day. You know what I mean? Good following, big football club, and it'll be a very good game.
Indeed. What is Mark Hudson now?
I think he's one of
manager or one of the coaches.
Because I think he's one of the first team. He's a first team coach now, because you've got what have you got? You've got the Danny Cowley brother. His brother's assistant manager. So he's been first team coach or one of the coaches.
Yeah, I'm glad they kept him on, because I thought he did all right. He was a thankless job to be the caretaker manager, but
he did
very
well
experienced.
Did well on as bouncer duty on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, didn't take no messing, did he?
He didn't as a player though, so he's not going to as a member of staff.
Never forget that half, the goal from his own half. Oof.
Yeah,
what a goal that was!
Cracking play.
So next up, QPR 2, Charlton 2.
Two goals who love to attack. Two goals who can't. Two teams, who love to attack. Two teams who just can't defend at all. You know what I mean, Lee Boyer. You know what I mean. I'm concerned for him, because he's shipping so many goals, and it's just causing too many problems. You know what I mean. Poor defending from Charlton from the early set pieces again. How many times this season, especially over the last few shows, we talked about set pieces, and you know what I mean, teams just aren't learning. You know, are they practicing set pieces? Do they know what's happening? Do they know what other teams are going to throw at them before the game? And you know what I mean, you can't afford to give. If you can't defend set pieces, don't give them away. You know what I mean? That's what I've always been learned and taught, that if teams are bigger than you, don't give them an opportunity to swing a ball in the box. Don't put, you know what I mean, when we played for Cardiff and teams were told, don't put the ball out for a throw in near our box. You've got to kick it up as far as possible, because Andy can throw it into Leo and Spencer Pryor and Danny Gabardon and James Collins, etc., and Peter Thorne. You know what I mean? So you've got to play to your strengths, and Charlton at the minute just aren't doing it. You know what I mean? It was so nice to see Lyle Taylor get back on the score sheet. You know what I mean? We've raved about him this season. They took the time to put him back in, but he had a few chances before he scored early in the second half. So it was frustrating for him, but nice that he did get a goal. But then to go and score 1 minute, and then awful defending again to let Samuel just dance through the defence and to let Pugh tap it in. And then poor defending again from Charlton right at the death to let Sarr finish. You know what I mean? Just another set piece, the ball goes in the box and nobody marks him. They just let him go stand at the box and just don't even. There's no care in the world. And two teams who they've overachieved the season, I think, at times, and they're doing well. I don't think they're in trouble at the minute. But if they keep defending like this, they're going to be in dire straits, because they're just shipping far too many goals. But the one thing they've both got going for themselves at the minute is they both score goals quite regular and score enough goals to keep them in games.
Yeah, they both score a lot, don't they? I think the one thing you need is when you've got those midfielders or players ghosting in or coming in late to the box, you've got to have defenders and defensive midfielders who are going to take responsibility for following players and marking players.
Stereo runners, stereo runner.
And particularly in that the equaliser, they just let him go. No one took that responsibility to pick him up. No one, made the personal decision to go with him, and they paid for it ultimately. Good news for Charlton. Obviously, they had Taylor back, they had Page back, they had Cullen, Jake Forster-Caskey, Kyle, and Oztema, and a couple of others. They've obviously had injuries, and I think Lee Bowyer said on numerous occasions that has cost them dearly in terms of they've got a small squad. They were playing really well. They had a load of injuries, and then they've kind of struggled to really get that form back. So hopefully by getting those players back, they can get back to where they were. I'm going to speak about Naki Wells and his one-on-one golden chance a bit later on, because that was. I'm
on the fence because I'm on the fence that should he have passed? You know what I mean? Because I don't know he thinks that he's got support coming up, and I think if he knew that, or he should have known that if he didn't know it. But if he didn't know it, if I was his help, I would be screaming.
Well, I was going to say, judging by the reaction that the other player gave when he didn't pass it, I would say there's a good chance that he was screaming for that ball.
Yeah.
Because you don't react like that if you haven't called for it, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it was a good game, though. And I think I agree with you that I think both teams will probably be all right because they score so many goals. If they both went through a bit of a drought where they not scoring, it could be problematic for both because they ship goals. Like,
I think it's a good point
tomorrow.
side for both. Good point for both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, QPR have halted a little bit, and I think Charlton have had a few bad results, let a few late goals in. Obviously, drew against Hull. You know what I mean? Let a two-goal lead slip against Cardiff. So, but the scoring goals are creating chances. So, I don't think as Lee Boyle will be a little bit frustrated, but at the same time he'll take the positives and see that they're doing all right. They're doing all right.
Indeed. Next up was Sheffield Wednesday versus Bristol.
Yeah, Sunday game. To be fair, once I seen the team, I was a little bit worried because obviously Stephen Fletcher, and obviously that was kept pretty quiet because obviously it must have been an injury because it wasn't a suspension. And they played. Jordan Rose played again. I thought he was quite sharp in and around the box, but it just kept him quiet. You know what I mean? Huddersfield dominated. Huddersfield. Sheffield Wednesday dominated the game. They dominated the game with chances created, shots on goal. But I thought Bristol City defended really well. But then, you know what I mean? You've got to concentrate for the full 90 minutes. You know what I mean? Sheffield Wednesday, they're relentless at the minute. You know what I mean? With the subs that get brought on, Sam Windle came on for Jordan Rowan, so they've still got firepower to come on. You know, because these players like Sam Windle, you know what I mean? He was Rochdale a few years ago. You know what I mean? So without Stephen Fletcher, they've still got other players who can come and help the team out. You know what I mean? So I thought Sheffield Wednesday with the best side and thoroughly deserved the goal. And Barry Banham, you know what I mean? He's probably one of the standout players in the Championship this season. You know what I mean? His delivery, his wonderful left foot. He keeps the ball. He's on par for me with the Joe Allens. That he comes and gets the ball from everybody and spurs little balls, big balls, takes corners, free kicks. Tucks away penalties under pressure with 3 minutes to go. You know what I mean? He's got no care in the world. You know, he's a good footballer.
Never looked like missing.
No, he looks confident. He was confident, and he knew he's confident in his own ability, and it's like everyone else had confidence in him as well.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And what I like about him is he just goes about his business quite quietly. You know, you don't hear that much about him. Yeah. Obviously, we talk about him each week, but generally, like social media stuff like that, you don't always hear people singing his praise. But he's outstanding, mate. His
good
delivery from set pieces there's not many better in the Championship, particularly.
I don't know if he stands out more because he's a left footer. I know that sounds really stupid, but You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, though. They always do, don't
technically, yeah. He's just excellent. He reminds me a little bit of McGinn for Villa.
they?
He's just, that's what he reminds me of. He's just technically very good. I know he used to live for Villa, so it's probably that link as well.
What about Jordan Rhodes? How do you think he did?
Centre forwards are judged on goals, aren't they? You know what I mean? He gets in good areas. He creates chances for himself. He's got really good movement. You know what I mean? But considering the hat-trick he scored against Nottingham Forest the week before, it just wasn't happening for him. You know what I mean? But he's playing against different defenders. You know what I mean? This week he's getting marked by Callas and by Ashley Williams. So it's a different pair to play against. You know what I mean? These two are physical. They've got a little bit more physicality, a little bit more pace than they had last week. So, you know what I mean? I think he was always going to find it a little bit more difficult. But I thought he did all right. I think he missed Stephen Fletcher. I'll be honest. I think he did. You know what I mean? Because he's starting to want that partnership with Stephen Fletcher, and you know what I mean. Obviously, it came to fruition last week that he played really well. He's come off the bench a couple of times, and they've linked up really well. But then when you're not playing with somebody, you've got to get that new partnership with somebody else. It's difficult.
Yeah, Stephen Fletcher's been so good. The last month he's been exceptional. So I think they're always going to miss someone of that ilk who's in form. Yeah. Next up was Cardiff Preston, the ball draw. Oh dear.
It just didn't get going, Si, at all. It just didn't. You know what I mean? It were
like a pre-season friendly, mate.
Yeah, but they started really well. They created all the chances. I thought Etheridge was absolutely outstanding in goal. You know what I mean? And we were quite lucky that he was. You know what I mean? He's had his critics this season about being fit and making a couple of mistakes and not being in the side for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And a few performances from last season. But I thought he was outstanding. You know what I mean? But he needed to be, because if it wasn't for him, you know, I mean, Cardiff would have lost the game, because it was all Preston. They created all the best chances, apart from, I think, a Lee Tomlin strike at the end of the first half, which probably should have hit the target with his ability. Good set-up play, but I was quite impressed with Preston. They're away from home. They've come and taken the game to Cardiff, and thoroughly deserved the points. You know what I mean? They probably deserve 3, but and they'll be disappointed they didn't get all 3. But to go to Cardiff is a tough game, so they'll snap their hands off with a point, really.
Yeah, Preston would have taken a point, wouldn't they, beforehand? I personally was just hoping Cardiff wouldn't lose, because Preston are a bit of a bogey team for Cardiff over the years. But I just thought Cardiff were quite poor generally. Tomlin was pretty good throughout, and obviously Etheridge was excellent.
Yeah.
The rest were...
There was, and it probably showcased it for me, Si, when Nelson's trying to pass the ball across the back 4, and you know what I mean. You don't need to do it. It's a championship. When it's not the Premier League, it's a championship. Get the ball, get it forward, play in their half, play second balls. You know what I mean. You're not gonna score by keeping the ball at the back. You know what I mean. They needed a goal. You know, they're not 4-0 upside. They don't need to take the mick. You don't need to keep hold of the ball. It just didn't make sense to me. Things like that.
No disrespect to Johnny Nelson. I think he's been pretty good since he's come into the side. You know, he's come from a lower league, I think. He hasn't come from, you know, La Liga or Serie A. And we've talked at length about Derby and some other teams who've brought in managers who want to play out from the back, and they're asking players to play a style which perhaps doesn't suit their ability or doesn't suit the way they play. Yeah. And it's causing them problems. And Cardiff kind of got away with one there. And do they need to do it? You know, with the players that Cardiff have got, I think they're better getting the ball up, getting the ball wide, work with the wingers, attack the defenders, you know, get some crosses in, get in behind, and work that way, rather than trying to play possession football, play from the back, and this sort of thing is not.
I totally agree. So, the thing is, I say you've got to play at your strengths, and I don't think Cardiff's strength is playing at the back. You know what I mean? They've got better footballers out wide. They've got better footballers at full back. You've got better footballers in midfield who like to do all that stuff, but your defenders, you know what I mean, especially the pair who played on Saturday, they're not really ball players for me. So you know what I mean, play with your strengths. So you know what I mean, a little bit disappointing. But if that's how the manager wants him to play, then they've got to be brave to do it. You know what I mean? But it's got to be better. It's got to be better than that. It's a schoolboy error. You know what I mean? You can't. Luckily enough for Cardiff, it was a really poor shot. You know what I mean? Which Etheridge put his cap on, but it was.
If he wants to play like that, if Harris wants to play, if Cardiff wants to play like that, all right, fine. he's got to sign the players and he's got to be given the money to sign the players.
Yeah, totally agree.
Play the way he wants to play, because Cardiff's central defenders in particular are not ball-playing defenders who are going to start attacks from the back.
But I get that. But also at the same time, Neil Harris doesn't play like that because Millwall didn't do that. So unless he's trying to change his whole philosophy,
which could be a mistake, trying to change your philosophy, which got you the job, in my opinion.
Totally agree. Because the similar setups. You know what I mean? Millwall, Cardiff. You know what I mean? That he had his back four at Millwall who attacked every day and who didn't take any risks. You know what I mean? Cardiff have got similar defenders who play that way, and have done for Neil Warnock. So don't, you know what I mean? Round peg, square holes. You know what I mean? It doesn't work.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I completely agree. At the end of the day, Cardiff have got have got defenders who just want to win the ball and then not get it away as such, but get it down and play, not try and be too clever.
Yeah.
No disrespect to them. It's just
no,
not
totally
to their
right.
strengths. They've got plenty of strengths. Just I wouldn't say that playing it around in the back is their forte, should we say.
Yeah,
next
totally
up
right.
was a cracking little game of Fulham versus Leeds. Fulham 2, Leeds 1. Leeds, man.
Oh yes. Oh, you know what I mean? They've struggled over the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean? They've had a couple of bad results, but I will say that I wasn't sure about the first penalty. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? I thought it was very soft. He's got every right to go down because he's been touched, but there's a difference between being touched and being pushed. You know what I mean? And there was no way in the world there was that much contact to go down like he did. But I think Leeds' game changed for me when Hernandez he went off injured straight away after 3 minutes. So, you know what I mean? The whole game plan goes out the window. And then all of a sudden you find yourself a goal down after 7 minutes through a really dodgy penalty. And then all of a sudden you've got to compose yourself a little bit. And, you know what I mean? Yes, they created chances. You know what I mean? Because they're always going to. You know what I mean? They dominated possession. You know what I mean? So Fulham, and this one man in particular who tells me every single week how much possession Fulham had. Fulham had 35% of the possession Fulham had this week. 35%. But they won. Won. Yeah? So Fulham have had 85%, 75% and lost. So what would he want? What does he want from his football club? From my football club and my teams, I want 3 points. I want to win. I want to look good. I want to create chances. I'm not bothered if they keep the ball for that long of a game, as long as I'm entertained. And you know what I mean? I think Leeds had double the amount of shots Fulham did, but Fulham still won. You know what I mean? You won't be complaining. Scotty Parker was absolutely over the moon.
Yeah, spot on, mate. You just won the win, didn't you, with 3 points at the end of the day.
Exactly.
The league table doesn't lie.
Lie.
It doesn't have a column which says possession.
Yeah, totally agree. And Paddy Bamford got another goal, which you know what I mean. He's on fire a little bit. It was interesting that Bielsa brought Nketiah on with Paddy Bamford, so they both played together.
Obviously, Paddy done that very often, have they?
No, so Paddy scored straight away. You know what I mean, with good link-up play by them both. And then it was Onuma scored. I thought it was a great goal. Off the set piece, second ball came over. He drilled it in the only place it was going to go in, but it was a great finish. And they held on and won. And Scotty Parker was delighted because you know what I mean. They were under a little bit of pressure for them. You know what I mean. All right, they're fourth in the league now, but the gap between Leeds and Fulham is massive because of how poor Fulham have been recently. Because of what they've lost the 3 previous games. If they're lost again, it could have been end of his job because there's loads of good managers out there who would kill for a job like Fulham's. And you know what I mean. I'm glad he won because he deserves an opportunity and he's had a good season in his first real season as manager. You know what I mean? To start a full season, and it was nice for maybe the gap to be closed a little bit, so it gives the chasing pack a little bit something to hang on to.
Yeah, Fulham have been on a 3-game losing streak as well, so they needed to halt that quickly. Yeah. I think that first penalty is what you call a home penalty, isn't it? Early in the game.
Yeah.
The home team just go down in the box, and sometimes the refs just give it.
What would you say, Si, about the atmosphere at Craven Cottage? Because it just seems like they've got these clappers. They've got it doesn't seem like a football game. It just seems like it's got full of kids. That's what it seems to me. Like a playground.
It reminds me of When you see like Soccer Aid and stuff on ITV and all them sort of things, and you can literally hear the kids and the stuff like screaming. It's like a different kind of chanting and noise. Like the whole acoustic is different because it's generally full of kids.
Yeah,
it reminds me more of that than like your run-of-the-mill kind of Cardiff match. But
maybe I'm wrong. Because I've never been to a game. I'd like a Fulham perspective and someone to tell me what the atmosphere is like. You know what I mean? Maybe it's my friend who keeps on going on about possession. He'll tell me what the atmosphere is really like. So he obviously goes to all the games.
Well, maybe he'll send you some tickets.
That'd be nice. I'll go with him.
But you've got to say it's as long as Craven Cottage is full, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, of course.
Next up, Hull City 3, Birmingham 0. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Huddersfield, they're a strange setup side, aren't they? You know what I mean? I thought they were excellent last week against West Brom for long periods and unlucky not to get a win, never mind a draw, but then they're going to lose the game. And Hull City at home are just a different animal, though, because, you know what I mean? Apart from the West Brom game and QPR, they've won every other game up to, August. And, you know what I mean? They created chance after chance. They scored some really good goals. I thought Grzycki's goal was just outstanding. The Jared Bourne through ball and just a little clip over the goalkeeper was excellent. The young lad who scored against Charlton last week, Lewis Potter, thought his goal as well was excellent. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's the second goal. I don't think he got that goal, did he? I don't think he got that goal because I think it was giving him an own goal, and we spoke about how disappointed it was. So this one's definitely his because it touched nobody on the way in. But Birmingham was just a poor outfit, poor on the day. I think it was Jukovic who missed a sitter in the first half, a free header, and it just sets the tone on those side because if you're missing easy chances, you know what I mean, defensively, you know what I mean, you sit back, you're playing against some good players, Grzycki, Jared Bourne, you know what I mean, Evans up front, Eves up front, who scored a really good header in the first half, and I think he got knocked out last week, so I didn't think he was out of play. I thought it was 2 weeks for concussion, but doctors have obviously got him fit and said he was okay to play and scored a really good goal, so, you know what I mean, like Hull, they're a good side, you know what I mean, they keep upsetting people, but I think January their team will take a massive dive. I think they're only going to get they're only going to have Jared Bourne for me for another 4 more games, 100%, and Grzycki as well. I think I can't see him being there either but those two players out their side would be a massive hole.
Yeah, it's a big problem, isn't it? I think Lewis Potter actually looks a pretty good player.
Yeah, he does.
In terms of Birmingham, I feel for them a bit because they're so inconsistent, and a lot of it is because of how young their team is. So 1 week they can look amazing and they look like world beaters, and then the next week they'll lose 3-0. And it does seem a lot of it seems to revolve around how they start games. If they get an early goal or they start well, they seem to progress through that game. Whereas, like you said, they missed the early chance, and they never quite got to the heights that they've got at some points this season. They just don't seem to be able to take it into like a run of form. They can have they'll play really well, and then they'll have a lose. Sorry,
I think that's young lads' mentality that it's hard to keep the consistency going all of the time for a young player. You know what I mean? That's why they're missing some experience, and you know what I mean. It is such a shame, but
hopefully they'll grow into it though, because if those players can really grow into consistency and play to the top of their the maximum of their ability every week or most weeks, they've got a cracking young squad, but they've got to find the consistency to realise what they've got, I think.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. So I totally agree. But they just they've got to do it more consistently, and they've got to make sure that they keep hold of these kind of players because they can't afford to lose players. They can't afford for the young players to go elsewhere and play the football. It would be such a shame if they do, because then they've got holes to fill. Do they fill them with the younger players who are untried, untested, or do they go and spend some of that money on other players who, I don't know, would they fit their football club? So it's a tough one. January is going to be so interesting for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I wonder with Hull, like obviously they've had a few issues with the owner, haven't they? Over the years with trying to change the name and stuff. You just wonder whether if he sells, your Bowen or your Grzycki for big money, how much of that money is trickling down to the manager to replace him.
Yeah,
but
totally agree.
It's for us people to wait and see, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just can't. You can kind of guess or you can think, but you just can't. You won't know until they either sign players or they don't. Jared Bowen
totally.
goes or he doesn't. Have to say, I would not be disappointed if Cardiff signed either or both. But I think they'll be going Premier League, and I think Jared Bowen might end up at Newcastle myself. That's my prediction. Next up, Luton 0, Swansea City 1.
Yeah, this was a strange game, Si. One thing I'll start with the negative as well. Like I watched it a couple of times, and it was the dive by. Oh, I'm sure you'll help me out here. Is it Byram? Is that
Byers? Is it?
Byers? Yeah, that's it. That when I seen it in normal time, I thought blatant penalty. How is he not giving it? You know what I mean? And it's a reaction from the Luton players. You know what I mean? Straight away they go over, and if there's been contact, you don't have to throw yourself in the air and on the floor. Just go down naturally, and you'll get a penalty. You don't have to throw yourself in the air and make it look like that you've been poleaxed by somebody. You know what I mean? But a little bit disappointed by Luton. I thought this was a game for them to take. You know that they were always going to have less possession. You know what I mean? Swansea were always going to be favourites to win the game. But the longer this game goes on, I thought Luton were going to win the game, because I thought Swansea would have probably settled for the point, and not wanted to probably embarrass themselves and just shut up shop a little bit. But they kept attacking, and Ayew scored a winning goal, and he's on form as well. You know what I mean? He's never going to score an easy goal, by the way. He just chested the ball in on the line, but it was a great setup play. The way that they set it up, it wasn't just a cross. It was the interplay, the intricate passing, and you know what I mean. That they played a little bit like they normally do at home, and I've been quite critical of the way they play away, because they mix it up a little bit. They don't normally play the way but they did there. They had loads of little passes in around the box, and great ball in the box, and Ayew tapped it in, and they went away with the 3 points. And the manager said quite openly that three previous games that they've played, which they haven't won, they played well. Didn't play great today, but we won. So I'll take it all day long. Clean sheets, 3 points away from home. I can't ask for any more. And it just shows what the championship's about. So you don't have to play well to win a game, but it's about getting the points and getting over the line and making sure that you're in a position to kick on, because that was a huge 3 points for Swansea, with the way that the results went above them over the weekend. Because obviously Sheff won, Fulham won. You know what I mean? Brentford got a point, which we'll talk about later on. Preston got a point. You know what I mean? So the teams above them, none of them lost, so they had to win that game.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, we were just talking about it with Fulham. It doesn't matter how much possession you've got. It doesn't matter how pretty your football is. The Championship is a brutal slog where the most important thing is just winning, and winning and just grinding out results. And we said at the start of the season we worried whether Swansea could do that, and they've just shown signs now that they're able to get those dirty results as well as the pretty football. Great goal. Shout out to Harry Cornick for Luton. Thought he was absolutely outstanding, and
class.
Deserved to be on the winning side, really.
Yeah.
But I thought Luton were very unlucky. But got to take your chances.
Got to earn your luck, and they're there for the taking. You know what I mean? And we've always said, since Middlesbrough went there, and all the other big sides have gone there, it's not an easy place to go. Kenilworth Road, and they are they're a force to be reckoned with at home. And you know what I mean? They'll take a few scalps, but they can't afford to drop any lower and take some hardings like they have away from home as well, because Christmas time is going to be interesting for them. Because obviously the games come thick and fast, and just having a look here who they play over the Christmas period, over the next few weeks. So Fulham at home, Bristol City away, Millwall away. You know what I mean? Birmingham at home. So for me, you know what I mean? Luton, Fulham will find it tough down there, because you know what I mean, it's not an easy place to go. Then Bristol City away, Millwall away, Birmingham at home. 3 tough games there against teams who aren't doing great. So
they're tricky ones, aren't they? They're No, the thing is, all games are
All games are. Yeah,
brutal in the
they'll
Championship now.
probably beat Fulham and lose the next three. That's the way the
Well,
Championship
that's it,
goes.
isn't it? You can have a
Yeah.
team go and beat Leeds and then lose to, Barnsley or someone
Yeah.
down the bottom. So speaking of Barnsley, they played Millwall
Barnsley.
and won. They beat Millwall at Millwall 2-1. Wow.
Yeah. Wow, indeed. So that's 3 unbeaten for them now. What they drew with Reading 1-1 after being in the game for long periods. They scored 5 the week before, beat Millwall 2-1 on Saturday. I thought the first goal side was outstanding. Connor Chaplin, I gave him my in one of my ups last week for his hat trick, and he's followed it on. He's carrying it on here because I thought the cross from Brown was good. It was right in his path, but the finish was just absolutely outstanding. To get a connection like he did and put it over the top of the goalkeeper in the far top corner was just outstanding. And it wasn't against a runner player. They were the best side. They were attacking in numbers and causing Millwall problems. And Gary Rowett, he's turned things around at Millwall, and I just thought it was a disappointing afternoon for Millwall, who probably expected to turn up and just win that game. I thought Jed Wallace was lucky to stay on the pitch. I've been a big fan of his, probably all season, but especially over the last 6 weeks. But I thought his tackle was a little bit late, a little bit naughty, and I think if VAR is in the Championship, I think he probably gets a red for that for how late it was. But it's nasty, it's an attacker's tackle, centre forward's tackle, late. No, he's not that kind of player, but it was late. So it wasn't a nice one.
You've never done one of them, man. No, I won't have a.
I haven't done one. I've done about 5 in my life, and they've all been bad. Just missed time. It's can't tackle. I can't tackle, so I can't tackle the same in my life. So it's the same as that's what I look like. It looked like a player who can't tackle.
Yeah, it's just like a timing thing, isn't it? It's just
it looks worse side because that is, and that's the problem. I thought O'Brien's header was very brave. Aidan O'Brien, I thought, I thought Matt Smith's header was good, but Aidan O'Brien put himself in there, and and put his head in where people won't put the boots, and it was great. And then I thought probably a point would have been a fair result, but Barnsley have got this attitude in the minute where they're just not giving up. Their attack is relentless, attack, and Smith goes and wins it in the 94th, 95th minute, and just celebrations are great because they know they won the game then, and the manager's celebration, how relieved he was at the end of the game, and talking about Christmas, and just he's taking the pressure off his team side, and taking the pressure off the team and himself, because what have you got coming up? You've got Barnsley on West Brom on Thursday, Swansea against Barnsley, Derby against Barnsley. So they've got, on paper, they've probably got 3 of the worst games possible coming up, and
They needed a win.
Needed the wins, yeah. Just to give them a little bit of breathing space from where they are, because if you take 6 points off them side from the last 2 games, the bottom of the league by 5 points. So they've given themselves a fighting chance.
So we've said all along, haven't we, that if Barnsley can rediscover their defensive form from last year, they'd be a real threat to the playoffs, because they're that good. I think, obviously as time goes, it's going to be, they're probably not going to make the playoffs now, even if they win the majority of their games. But like, they could stay up. If they, I think they're 1 point off safety now. If they can shore up their defence to where it was last year, their attacking threat going forward, in the midfield is so good and so quick and dangerous that they'd beat anyone on their day. And
I totally agree.
So talk to me about Connor Chaplin, mate. Why is he so good? Because I was really impressed.
See, I'm not going to use the word confident, because he's just got his natural ability side. He makes the runs, and if he makes the runs, people are going to put the ball where he wants them. Some of the goals he scored over the last 2 or 3 weeks have just been outstanding. I don't think I've seen him score a tap-in. His hat trick last week was outstanding. What he scored against Millwall, he scored 3 against Barnsley. He scored against Cardiff. He scored the week before against Hull. He scored against Blackburn. This is natural. This is a natural finisher. He's 22 years of age. 22 years of age, and what Barnsley, yeah, it's probably the worst time for him to start scoring regular goals because somebody might snaffle him up and move him across in the Championship to a team who's impressed with the way he's playing because he's leading the line really well and scoring goals. So I hope it continues because he looked a top finisher last week, but the goal he scored on Saturday against Millwall for me was better
Superb.
than anything he did last week. So I thought it was outstanding.
Yeah, and there's plenty of clubs within the Championship who are looking for a quick
natural
finisher,
yeah, natural
finisher. Plenty of clubs and clubs at the top of the league as well, or like the know up at top 10, really looking to push to the playoffs or push for automatics. Who need
even the
someone...
top two, Si. Even the top two. Top two, you look no further than the top two. West Brom and Leeds. West Brom and Leeds need that little push to win the title, little push to get promoted. They'll be looking at all avenues to see what can get them in the Premier League. Spot
on, mate. Spot on. Hopefully that for Barnsley fans, I hope they can keep him because he seems to be the catalyst for their revival.
I'd be really disappointed as a football fantasy teams get relegated because they lose their star strikers or things. You know what I mean? That's why I think that's the disappointing thing, isn't it? That Fulham, Hull plummet because they lose the best player. You know what I mean? I hope that doesn't happen. But it's football. So, it's happened to all our football clubs in the past.
So with that in mind, then, and would you make the January transfer window emergency only? So like if teams have got like long-term injuries or they haven't got a goalie or whatever it may be, rather than free open house where anyone can sign for anyone, so you'd be locked in for a season with your squad.
Yeah, well, you make it a loan, but then I thought about this and I spoke about this with a couple of lads at the weekend, that you make it a loan that teams get players on loan at the minute with a view to a permanent anyway, so it's already in writing that you're going to make it permanent, so the loans is irrelevant. So same as a manager for me, Si. If you put a manager in place in August for the start of the season, he sees the season out. Same as a player. You know what I mean? Same as a player. There's going to be times that you're going to need emergency loans to try and get an emergency player in to help you out. If you're lacking a goalkeeper, all 5 goalkeepers are injured. You know what I mean? You've got all these injuries. You know what I mean? So emergency loan from the Premier League, from a different division, where the Leeds and the West Broms at the minute, they could cherry pick Jared Bourne,
Connor Chaplin,
and get promoted, and then all of a sudden drop them back in the Championship because they're not good enough for the Premier League.
Yeah, that's the problem then, isn't it?
That's the problem you've got. And then you've got these players dropping down on loan to clubs, and it's just not fair. It's happened all the time, though. You know what I mean? It's happened to Jordan Rhodes. That's why he's been a bit of a journeyman. You know what I mean? Over the course of his career, you know what I mean? It's happened to other players. David Nugent, you know, he's a big one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Never really played in the Premier League, but he's been promoted out of the Championship 5, 6, 7 times. So, you know what I mean? Just some players, just sometimes are best off staying where they are because the grass isn't always greener as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the grass is most definitely not always greener. And like we talked about that with Jude Bellingham, haven't we? About how we think that he'd be better off staying with Birmingham and getting 50, 100 games under his belt by the time he's 20 and being a really, really experienced quality player by the time he's 22.
Yeah.
Whether his agent or whatever will advise him of that and whether Birmingham will want to cash in as well is the other thing, which I think sometimes people forget. Is that sometimes clubs want players to go because they want the money.
Yeah, need the money. Yeah. Talking it.
Yeah, well, I say that certain clubs need the money to survive.
Yeah.
Reading 3, Derby County 0. Oh dear, Rooney's coming in.
It's funny. Our mutual friend say, I won't name because I think it's a little bit unfair with the things that I've asked him, and he's very cocky, positive that he thinks he's doing a good job. His transition, but I'm an outsider looking in. Absolutely disgusting the way that football club's turned around. Yep. Frank Lampard in the summer had them an hour away from the Premier League. At the minute, they're 5 points away from going into League One. And the way they're playing, with everything what's happened this season, it's just an absolute nightmare of a season. 7 games without a win. Absolutely terrible on Saturday. absolutely zero discipline whatsoever. I've got my phone on me right now because I want to count how many yellow cards they had, because they had only 2 players left, outfield players, who were on a yellow card when the game finished. So Tom Lawrence, Knight, Lowe, Holmes, Bogle, Sibley, Forsyth, Marriott, and they already had Malone sent off after 4 minutes, and one of them, and obviously then your goalkeeper. So that's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. They get fined for that though as well, wouldn't they?
They will, yeah, they will. But you know what I mean, 7 yellow cards and a red card.
It's a lack of discipline, that isn't it?
You know what I mean? But then, Sir, the bigger picture for me there is there's something massively wrong at that football club. There is something majorly wrong. And if you're Wayne Rooney, do you want to take over?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at that squad right now, do you want to put your name towards that? You know what I mean? If you, in January, you probably would. You know what I mean? Look at the next 3 games, Si. They've got Wigan away, Charlton at home, Barnsley at home. If they don't win any of those games, he's got to have gone. He's got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go.
He's got to go.
Do you think, and you would know better than me in terms of how players think, do you think those players have worked out, you know, what we've worked out is that Rooney is there to take over?
Yes.
And they're I don't want to say they're trying to help it along, because that sounds a bit disrespectful, as if they're, you know, I don't think they're intentionally losing, but maybe they're not fully focused.
They're not buying into what he's trying to do. They're not focused. They're not listening. They're not applying what he wants in it.
Because that's been a problem since day one of the season. They haven't been able to do what he wants them to do.
If they're applying what he wants them to do, then he's having a nightmare of a season. Then it all goes back to, you know what I mean, I was Richard Keogh's biggest critic with the way that Cocker was trying to get him to play, and the way that he was trying to play football when he's not as good as what he thinks he is, or people are telling him he is. But then he's still telling his defenders to play the same way that he was with them, and they can't do it. You know what I mean? We're on about championship players here, and I'm not being disrespectful, but some people, like the Cardiff defenders, aren't made to keep the ball and start playing out from the back. Some people just can defend really well, and I take the red card. Malone's red card after 4 minutes. Like he's demonstrating to the referee that he didn't touch him. He's pushed him with 2 hands in the back. The goalkeeper's coming out to save the shot. He had no reason to touch him. You know what I mean? If he gets any kind of contact in his back, he's going to go down. It's not like the ball's in the air or anything. The player's got the ball in his feet. The goalkeeper's flying out. The defender can see that happening. Just let things take its course, and if it goes in, you're 1-0 down anyway. You're still on the pitch. You know what I mean? You just take stock and go again. You know, but you know what I mean. You didn't give yourself a chance. Charlie Adams smashed a penalty away with a very good penalty, by the way. And then it was just men against boys again. That too many yellow cards. Derby were unlucky, by the way, with a couple of shots. Tom Lawrence hit the crossbar, and somebody else hit the crossbar as well. But to be fair, Mark Bowen's got Reading just looking like a different set of players, a different football club, really. And probably the side that we spoke about after the Cardiff game, that they're looking that good at the minute again. They're attacking again, but it's taken. You know what I mean? I was especially sad that I was questioning why he took the job, why he selected himself as manager, because he could see something in this group of players, and since he's took over, he's done an absolute great job. So whoever's final decision it was to give him the job, then deserves a massive pat on the back, because he's done fantastic. Yeah,
Reading been very good. They were excellent against Derby. They really took him to task, and it could have been more.
It should have been more.
Derby, I don't know. I even know where to start. It's their individual decision making during the game is just piss poor, to turn a phrase. Like you say, Malone, there was no need to do it. He's left his side with 95 minutes to play, of 85 minutes. Of playing with 10 men, because he's made a ridiculous decision. And I just think that all over the pitch, those individual decisions at Derby are not very good at the moment, and that's causing huge issues for the for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Next up, West Brom 1, Brentford 1, Slaven Bilic. What a guy!
I think this is the standout result for me, Sardis, because I thought Brentford they've been on a really good run, and they've had some really tough games over the last few weeks. They've obviously beat Cardiff, beat Fulham, and then they go to West Brom. So to pick 7 points up over those 3 games is absolutely massive. And to be fair, they created a lot of chances. They weren't fortunate to go ahead. I thought it was a very good goal from another set piece, with a very good header. And to be fair, I thought they fully deserved the point. They look dangerous every time they go forward. I think Ollie Watkins leads the line really well. You know what I mean? I think they rely on him a little bit too much with the way they play. But it's just the way that Brentford are playing it, and they're playing with so much belief and so much expansive football that they're even taking the best sides in the league and tearing them apart a little bit at times. And you know what I mean? West Brom got themselves level through furlong just before half time. Probably could have won it towards the end with Charlie Austin's offside goal. You know what I mean? It could have gone either way, but you know what I mean? I think Brentford would have been absolutely devastated if they lost that. So, you know what I mean? I think it was for me, but that was a result of the weekend for Brentford, and it just shows how bad Leeds' result was, because that was an opportunity for them to catch up a little bit. But then Fulham have obviously closed the gap, and other teams, Preston closed the gap by a point, and Sheff closed the gap. And Brentford stayed in there, and Swansea as well. So I think it can only be good for the league with the top 2 dropping points, but we make it a little bit more interesting. But it's West Brom for me that are still the best side in the league by a country mile.
Yeah, I think with Brentford, they obviously spent a lot of money in the summer. Look, there's no beating around the bush. They spent a lot of money. It took them a bit of time to get going. But this last month or 2, they've been excellent. They've been playing some great football. They've been taking some teams apart. They've been competing with the top teams. And like you say, the last 3 results have been exceptional. To take 7 points from those games, can't ask for any more.
No.
West Brom are what they are. They're the best team in the league, in my opinion. I was particularly impressed by Henrik Dalsgaard for Brentford. I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
He's got a good goal as well.
Yeah, great header. I thought he was excellent. Usual suspects for West Brom were really good. You know, your Livermore's, your Kyle Edwards. Charlie Austin, I thought was a little bit unlucky not to have a goal ruled out for offside. But...
Well, you're on about VAR, so you know what I mean, and I don't think that will be the difference in between. Well, you never know the difference between West Brom getting promoted and not. But you know what I mean. It's fine margins, fine margins, and you know what I mean. He'll keep getting in those areas, and you know what I mean. Probably some of the goals that he scored this season were probably offside, which he's got going for him. So it swings what it said. You earn your own luck during the season, apparently.
Yeah, I think so. But you just know, like, just as good a result as that was for Brentford, if Charlie Austin pinches a winner, it's a great result for West Brom to beat an informed Brentford. And you don't know where that takes the league from there. So especially, but then
you look at, I think that my point there is, you know what I mean. I think West Brom know that Leeds are getting beat. That a point's a good result as well. So as long as you don't lose that as well, that you're a point clear of Leeds again. And if you nick it, then it's great. You're 5 points clear. But you know what I mean, that extra point just churns away, doesn't it, all the time?
Indeed. So that's the games. Obviously, we can't discuss the Wigan game because it's going on as we speak.
It's just finished.
Is it? What was the score?
0-0. 0-0. So not much. Very rare.
It's all right. He's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, he's my hero, and it's a bad time as well, because if he was going to move in the January window, he won't be now if he's injured.
Yeah, it looks like a nasty one. It looks like he's been stretched off with a knee injury. Well, best of luck to Bradley, and hopefully it's not nothing too serious. So let's go for the 2 for 2. It's where myself and Andy pick our two heroes or 2 villains from the weekend's action. So let's go. Let's start with the negative and finish on a positive then, can't we? Because it's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve as this show goes out. So Santa's coming tonight. Santa's coming.
Yep.
Okay, so where Yeah. So what's your first down, mate?
My first down, I've gone for Malone for Derby for silly defending after 4 minutes to get the penalty away, and then coincide with that is just Derby's poor discipline. You know what I mean? I just think it's cost them massively in a game of football because you've got to keep your discipline for the full 90 minutes, and I think they lost that from obviously the 4th minute all the way through the 90 by the looks of it.
Yeah, I nearly put the same one actually, but I actually went for the ball boy incident in the Huddersfield versus Forest game.
I nearly put that
because I think it was needless, it was dangerous, and frankly, I thought it was disgusting. That boy could have been seriously injured, and if I was his old man, I'd be fuming. Would be fuming because there was no need. He was going nowhere. The ball was out. There was no need to give him that nudge in the back. And all right, I know we see that probably every week. Like a little player gives a little nudge just to let him know he's there or whatever as he's running off the pitch. But you've got to be aware that the boy's there, in your front of you. Come on, you can't be doing that. And like I say, if I was the boy's old man, I would not have been impressed.
Yeah, luckily enough, he didn't look injured. I hope he is. All right.
Well, the main thing, apart from the fact that you got a grown man clattering into him, it was obviously the board, smashed into him as well.
Yeah.
So it could have been nasty, mate.
Yeah, it would. Well, there's loads of things, isn't there? You know what I mean? The board's landing on. I'm guessing it's not light.
It's not.
Is it an electric board? You know what I mean? There's loads of things, isn't there? You know what I mean? You can't. There's a bigger picture. You know what I mean? And players have to. A role model's got to take responsibility. You know what I mean? So.
He's got to be a bit aware of his surroundings, haven't he? There was no need for it. There was no need for it. And I think I totally agree. That's the main thing for me. There was just no need for, for the shove.
Totally.
Go for your next one, mate.
My next one is an incident in the West Brom Brentford game, which I didn't talk about. Next one to save for this. So it was a referee. How on earth he didn't see Bartley's handball, because from the cross from the Brentford right winger, he's fell over more or less and punched it away with his left hand. How on earth anybody is not? The linesman's on that side as well. And he still hasn't even given it. Just made me chuckle a little bit, but everyone makes an error. You know what I mean? But the funniest thing, or the part of it for me, is nobody really complained from the Brentford side apart from Ollie Watkins that it was a penalty, and his appeal was nothing. You know what I mean? So it was so
strange one.
So daft, yeah. But anyway, it was blatant handball. He's got away with a 3-1 Bartley, but it just makes officials look a bit stupid at times.
Yeah, particularly the linesman on it. The linesman just looked a bit dim.
Yeah, the ref can't give that because he's too far away, but the linesman can give it.
Yeah, he's like, what was it, like 10 yards away, maybe?
Oh, yeah, 15 yards. Max.
I've gone for Naki Wells. I know you might disagree with this slightly, but I just thought that...
I'll give you my take on it in a minute.
He was through 1-on-1. All he had to do was roll it to the left, and the boys got an open goal. They win the game, 3 points, great. And I just think, come on. And the reason I kind of plumped for this one in the end over some others was, like, I pride ourselves on the fact that we are fair to everyone, every team, every player. If they're good, they're good. If they're bad, they're bad. And we've been very, we've bigged up Naki Wells. We've said how well he's played all season, and what a tremendous talent he is. But this week, for me, is his turn to go in the downs.
Why didn't he just place it inside? Why does he have to hit it as hard as he tried to hit this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because just place it. Just put it. He's got two sides to go, side. You know what I mean? Your son's a goalkeeper. You know what I mean? He's tried to hit it as hard as he could, and he's hit it.
Plays into keeper's hands.
Quite close to the goalkeeper. So he's had to make a movement either side. You know what I mean? You place. He's got 4 different options for me. He's got bottom right, bottom left, top right, top left. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, we're on about a very good footballer here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Someone who doesn't need to put his foot through it. Doesn't need to. But he had too much time to make a decision, and he picked the worst. He picked the worst one out of the lot.
Well, you know who else did that? Lingard did it in the Watford game when it was 0-0. He was through on goal, 1-on-1, almost identical, and he tried to chip him instead of just roll it into the corner, 1-0.
It's arrogance. That's more arrogance.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, with Naki Wells, I think he just took the wrong decision, didn't he?
Yeah, totally agree.
But yeah, so let's get to the ups, the positive stuff, the good stuff. It's Christmas Eve. What have you got?
I'll give him it last week. I'm going to give him it again this week. So I've gone Connor Chaplin because.
Damn.
Sorry. See, we haven't spoken about it, have we?
I know.
Yeah, Connor
Christmas
Chaplin
shopping.
because he was excellent again. It's just consistency for me in centre forward. He makes all the right runs. He gets in the right areas. His finish was just out of this world. You know, that there's not a better finish than that. And it's when you hit those in those kind of areas, you know what I mean. It's a joy to watch it go in, and you know what I mean. You know straight away when you hit it, it goes in, and it was just pleasing that he's getting his rewards for all his hard work that he's done over the last, what I'd say, month, 6 weeks, because he's starting to get his rewards.
Yeah, spot on. Incredible goal, incredible performance. I think he's been the catalyst to Barnsley's uptake in form, and clubs will probably fancy him in January as well.
Definitely.
So, because you went for him, I have got a reserve. I'm going to go with Etheridge for his performance for Cardiff City versus Preston. I thought he kept him in the game. He was outstanding, and probably the best player on the pitch. And we've been quite critical of goalkeepers, and Etheridge in particular we've criticised before, but I thought he was absolutely superb.
That's a great shout. I was going to go for him as well. So I think he's so deserved. I think he's got himself confident. He's got himself back in a position now where we can go into the Christmas period knowing that he's on form, even if his defence is a little bit shaky. That he knows that he's confident in his own ability again. Yeah,
he looks more like the Etheridge of the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Recently. So who've you got for your last up?
There's a few for me, but I've gone for Barry Banham because I just think
Great
he's, just runs the game. I was going to pick Joe Allen because obviously seeing him live on Friday night, I just thought, do you know what I mean? I like these kind of players who just run the game on their own and have got just undoubted ability. And when they're getting beat, they want the ball. When they're winning, they want the ball. You know what I mean? They just want the ball constantly. They want to make things happen all the time. And on Sunday, he ran the show against a good side. Short passing, long passing, you know what I mean? And then his penalty was never going to miss, never ever going to miss. And just his composure, you know what I mean? It was like he does it every day in training, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It was a last minute of a big, massive championship game. It didn't have an impact in it. So,
no, you're right. Very, very, very good. I had a short list. I had on my short list, I had Bannon, I had Delsgaard from Brentford.
Nice, yeah.
But I eventually plumped for Wing from Borough for his winner, 25
Great
yards.
Shout.
Bosh.
Great shout.
And, not just a fantastic goal, but also, wins of a game. And it's a big, with the way the results went, it was a massive result for...
Huge. Yeah, huge.
Needed it.
Yeah, it did. Massive.
Because they could have been looking at being rooted otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we go for the fake Jordy bingo lingo, let's have a look at some questions.
Got the question on Twitter, Si. You told me to remind you.
I got him. Gaz. Okay, so we haven't got a word association this week, which is a bit disappointed. Come on, Peaches.
Come on, Peaches.
Good enough. But I might make one up on the fly now. We'll see. See if I can think of one. But Johnny Wishbone wants to know, have you ever been in a team where the manager has put a stop to or banned a Christmas party?
Yes, but the party still went ahead. So, because I think you've got to put things into context. Those side that when I played, there was a drinking culture. So you know what I mean. You know what I mean. To tell players who enjoy a drink a couple of times a week to not go out on a night out is just a regular thing. So it didn't matter if it was Christmas. Christmas parties are relevant. It happened every Saturday, every Tuesday. So it was just. But yeah, managers tried to stop it. They did years ago, and it's just timing for me. You know what I mean? Because I get managers' points. I get why they try to do it. I get the meaning behind it. Because how does it look to a supporter when these players are underperforming, getting beat, losing games, getting paid really good money, and then they're going out and enjoying themselves after a heavy defeat, and supporters are getting back late and having to go to work the next morning, and it just doesn't look very good. But
yeah, of course.
you know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest bugbear for me. You know, it's all about timing, and you know what I mean? Sometimes, and I was the same when I played side, and it doesn't matter if it's Christmas or if you're having a night out. If you have a heavy defeat and you don't get the result, you just don't go out, and you change your plans accordingly. And instead of going out for a big night out and loads of drink, you stay in, drown your sorrows, get a takeaway. Nobody has to see you. Your mates can come round and you have a party inside, and you end up drinking more and staying in. So it's irrelevant. But when you win, you can paint the town red, do what you want.
Crack on. Yeah, I was spot on. Every Cardiff player which I've had on the show has said the same thing, that they didn't feel like comfortable going out after a heavy defeat, because
I
feel like you're doing something wrong.
I hate this. I hate doing it in Middlesbrough because obviously it's my hometown club, and Cardiff was worse. It was a city. You could go to places where be quiet, but you're always going to see someone because everyone knows everyone in Cardiff, and everyone's quite big on the football. I'm really big on the football, so it's you know what I mean. But I remember it was a game I missed a penalty. You know what I mean? It was my daughter was born on the Saturday, before my eldest, and it was a week we played Leeds at home, missed a penalty, drew 0-0. So it wasn't like we lost, and I just hated the whole night because people thought I was enjoying myself, and I couldn't even crack a smile all night. You know what I mean? And it was a really big thing for me because I was wetting the baby's head, and you know what I mean. So it was such a shame. You know what I mean? It could have easily panned out so differently. Could have been the
party. Could have been the party of all parties.
Well, it would have been, yeah.
So on that note, this person wants to know, what's the most out-of-hand Christmas party, or what's the most out-of-hand party, Christmas-related or otherwise, you've ever been to?
We went to Dublin with Middlesbrough. It was an end of season party, so it was party. It was end of season 2. We went to play a game, and it was basically just to let a bit of steam off. So we finished the season. We stayed up in the Premier League. It was a really, really tough season. So the manager took us to Dublin. We played Shelbourne on the Friday night. So I flew over Friday morning, played Shelbourne in a friendly. Gaza was drinking 2 pints of Guinness before the warm up. Comes in, he's having another pint in the changing room. Thinks he's not playing, but the manager says they've all come to see you play, so you're playing. He played 90 minutes, mate. I'm not being funny. I've never seen a performance like it. He was just immense. He ran the game. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
3 pints of Guinness.
And then we went out Friday night, Saturday night, all day Sunday. I got this nice little scar on my head from one of the lads Mark Somerville threw a traffic cone at me. We were playing traffic cone wars, so it was just I just woke up one the next morning with blue stitches in my head with a gaffer and Bob Ward, the physio, in my bedroom, and like asking me if I'm all right. And it was just a standard trip away, yeah. But I had to tell everybody I did it in the game on the Friday.
Yeah, well, you got it on you.
Yeah, but I told my mum the truth, and then my mum wasn't very happy. Like she was boiling.
She didn't like Somerville after that.
No, she was. Somebody hurt a little boy, you see.
Yeah, well, that's it. Can't have that. So Gaz says this will be the last question of 2019, maybe. No, I think next week's show is before the new year.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Gaz says, Andy, Merry effing Christmas. I should read these before I bloody read them out. Merry effing Christmas. Have a top show. Question for Andy. Classic old school soccer AM, double entendre. Who's the longest in the shower you've ever played with? Happy Christmas.
Easy.
Your Fortune West.
No, Janino. He was absolutely a tripod.
That surprises me, seeing because he's like nothing to him, was it?
Oh mate, it was unbelievable. It was like another leg.
Yeah. Some people get it all, don't they?
And he had the ability. Oh, he had a lot.
What a man.
He was a weapon on the pitch and off it.
A weapon of mass destruction. Right. Let's finish off this Christmas edition of the Andy Campbell Championship Show. We've got one left in 2019. Fake Jordy, bingo lingo. Teach me about your northern culture?
Well, because we've had a few idiots about Si over this weekend. So I was thinking about a word that I would use, a clean word, which I would use to like acknowledge them. So a local bit of lingo. So we use the word Doyle. So it's like
Doyle?
idiot. So Doyle.
I haven't heard that one.
It's like, have you not? So there. So I wouldn't be. Don't be using it when people are here. You know what I mean? Use it towards me, and I'll use it towards a couple of our close friends. But yeah, Doyle. So Doyle's like quite a good insult in Middlesbrough on the northeast. Shut up, you Doyle.
What is it?
Just like an idiot. Someone who doesn't have a clue what they're talking about. So yeah,
Right.
Doyle.
As long as it's not like named after someone, and then it's
No, it's just no. No, should be though, shouldn't it? Could be now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
There you go. Always learning, Si. Every day is a school day.
I like knowledge. I want more knowledge. Impart knowledge.
Yeah.
Every week. So, guys, you can follow Andy on Twitter at AndyCampbell32. You can follow me at ACEcast_nation. And we'll post, about new shows. We post about any of the business, ask for questions, put the polls up, everything like that. And you could also find out about all the other series that we have on Ace Podcast Nation, either on the Twitter page or facebook.com/AceCastNation. You can make suggestions. You can ask questions. You can do whatever, send whatever you want. Also, guys, I'll ask again, if you could leave comments, likes, anything on the videos, the posts, everything you do, the more comments and stuff we get, the further up the search engines we go. And we obviously want to keep growing and growing as a show and a channel. Andy, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
My pleasure, mate. Loved it again. Love it.
Always a good time, my friend.
Yeah.
One more in 2019.
Yeah, nearly there. The big fella's on his way. Big fella's on his
21.
way.
The fat man's coming. What is he going to do? What's he going to bring you, Andy? What's he going to bring you tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Might bring me some more points for me football clubs this week, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So, just to finish, last thing before we say goodbye, and we are going to finish as you answer this question. What is the best Christmas song, and what is the best Christmas film?
Oh, I'm going to go kids related because obviously I've got young kids, so I'm going to go one that's stuck in my head now. So it's Santa's Got Stuck in the Chimney. So I've got that in my head. I'm singing it in the car. I've got it on my iPhone, and I'm going Nativity because I watched that as well with it today. So I'm just constant at the minute. Constant.
Yeah, I watched Nativity 1 yesterday. We watched Nativity 2. We're watching Nativity 2 now.
But my best ever film, Christmas film, is Santa Claus Movie. It's just
classic.
Yeah,
Dudley Moore.
Yeah, love it. Can't stop watching it. It's just amazing.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Excellent. Right, guys. Happy Christmas. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
All the best. Yeah.
Wicked.